Evelyn loved her parents. They both worked at a lab of science and technology. They brought her with them sometimes, and she absolutely loved it. Evelyn was going to be just like them, making new devices to improve the world. Her parents were specifically looking at medical devices that could prevent death. Things that could keep someone alive, even if it was just their head left. That was a little more advanced technology than what they had currently. They were only able to get robotic limbs or robotic hearts. They were famous, though. Evelyn was excited to join them someday, making cures for diseases or safer hovercrafts to cause less accidents. Evelyn had long red hair like her mother, and she had her father's crystal blue eyes. She was 15 now. Her dad worried that they were making too much of themselves, and competing companies might get at them for it. Evelyn didn't think so. Who would be mad at people for helping the world? I did it! A fully functioning robotic prosthetic! Evelyn's mother cheered, running out with Evelyn's uncle. He also visited the lab sometimes. He enjoyed giving Evelyn cool projects, like an old watch from thousands of years ago, and sometimes they were broken things that Evelyn had to fix. Ha! This is going to make a lot of people happy, Uncle Branch chuckled. I have to give all the credit to my sister, though. I only handed her the tools, he said warmly. I should go tell the others, Dad said proudly. Oh, please, I'll tell them. You stay here and take the credit you both deserve, Uncle Branch said happily, jogging to the doors. Oh, I'll copy the blueprints to your computer, Mom, Evelyn said sweetly, skipping to the computer. Her mother tossed her the metal pearl that held the information on it. It hovered over to her, and she was about to plug it in. It was dark and cold. Evelyn felt wrong, like her arm was gone, her legs were gone, and her bones were vibrating. Of course she must be ignoring a call on her phone, or she put it on silent and it was vibrating on her chest. When did she sleep? When did they go home? The last thing she remembered was hanging out with her family in the lab. For some reason, it was getting hard to breathe. A gloved hand patted her down and held her down on a bed. But Evelyn still couldn't breathe, or even open her eyes. There was a weird, wet feeling in her stomach. Evelyn gasped air into her lungs, twitching tiredly. A ventilator was hooked up to her nose, but she didn't want to touch anything. Her body was cold, but covered with a thick blanket. No, not a blanket. Evelyn looked to the side and scanned her surroundings. Weird symbols and lights flickered around her vision. Then, words started floating around things. She tried to blink it away. It was probably the effect of whatever drugs they had on her. Evelyn was in a hospital, in an operating room, on the table. There was a strange clicking sound coming from below her back, like zapping wires beeping to the beat of a heart. The weird words started coming into her vision again, so Evelyn kept her eyes closed and tried to wake up. She wanted to call out for help or ask about what even happened, but a microphone screeched and fuzzed in the way. Evelyn coughed and twitched. Hello? Why did it sound like she was talking into an old microphone? It didn't even sound like her. It sounded like a weird AI trying to mimic her voice. Evelyn heard the door open, with 2 chatting surgeons coming through. Fortunate that we had the blueprints. Dr. Hundu said her parents want her alive, one was whispering, walking around Evelyn's head. Hundu was Uncle Branch's last name. What were they talking about? Evelyn tried talking again, but the invisible speakers screeched again and made Evelyn cough. "Why is she awake? Who turned this on?" a woman cried. "She's probably in shock. Turn it off. No, turn down the electricity. Force her body to sleep," she commanded. "How? I'm a surgeon, not a computer engineer," the man yelped. "Those labels are very easy to understand, Eric. Put her to sleep, okay?" the woman said worriedly. "Labels? Why can't I, be awake?" Evelyn asked in spasms, trying to blink her eyes open. The lady groaned and snapped something above Evelyn's head, and then she blacked out. Weird. Calibration complete. DNA and memory transfer complete. Activating consciousness. A machine blared near Evelyn. "Please let this work. Please," Uncle Branch whispered. He sounded close, probably near Evelyn's legs. He laid his top half over her legs, with tears soaking through her thin blanket onto her ankles. "Uncle Branch, why are you sad? What happened?" Evelyn breathed, trying to open her eyes. Her left arm was numb, so she used her right hand to rub her eyes. "Evelyn? Evelyn! Do you feel okay? Do you remember me?" Uncle Branch said desperately, grabbing Evelyn's left hand. Something told her he was, but it wasn't like he was actually touching her. There was a weird barricade behind her nerves. "Did something happen? Why would I forget you?" Evelyn whimpered, forcing her eyes open. Her vision was slightly blurry, but she adjusted to the light and blinked a few more times. "Oh, yes, Evelyn! You're alive!" Uncle Branch cried, grabbing her in a hug. What? Did I die?" Evelyn asked nervously. "I'm afraid it's worse than that," a nurse said from the corner of the room. Evelyn turned to her with confusion, but something on her neck jabbed at her. It was like her neck couldn't go that far to the side anymore. She hissed in a breath of pain and grabbed the right of her neck with her left hand. Then she freaked out a bit more. Her arm was entirely robotic. Why was it robotic? What happened? Why can't she remember? Evelyn quickly looked at Uncle Branch with a small whimper. "Evelyn, I need you to, calm down. This is keeping you alive. I need you to stay calm while we talk about this, all right? Okay? You're okay now," Uncle Branch said wearily, trembling a bit. The nurse sat down at Evelyn's other side. "Evelyn, you and your family had a bad accident in the lab. You were the farthest away from it, but it did still ruin most of your body. Your body was just barely functioning when we got you here. Your uncle insisted that we should use your parents' invention to keep you alive, but your parents didn't make it," the woman explained softly. "What?" Evelyn squeaked. She wanted to cry, but not a tear was made from her eyes. She anxiously grabbed at her head, but half of it was just metal. Her eyes, they were practically just two cameras on her face. "Evelyn, please try to understand what I did. I knew why your parents made this technology, and if I didn't save you, I don't know what I would have left," Uncle Branch whimpered, grabbing her hand again, shaking harder. They're dead?" Evelyn squeaked. I know this is a lot for you to handle, but there's a therapy program came up for things just like this. I haven't enrolled you in it yet. I wanted you to have time to adjust and grieve and possibly relearn how to walk," her uncle stammered anxiously. Evelyn immediately took off the blanket off of her body. Her whole body was covered and twisted and changed, robotically enhanced. Her legs were metal, her chest and hips and left arm, half of her face and neck, and her right forearm. Robotic, metal, wires and circuits. Evelyn tearlessly cried for weeks, not eating, hardly talking, and not sleeping. All she needed was to step on a special charging port. She stood on it silently, drooping as if she were trying to at least sleep while standing. Evelyn did it in the dark a lot, so she could mope in peace, and at least pretend she was sleeping. Uncle Branch shuffled into the room. He set a pamphlet on her table and sighed. Branch turned around to grin ruefully at Evelyn, leaning over to kiss her on the head. "Just go, Uncle Branch. I don't need any of your attention," Evelyn whispered, listlessly waving a hand to shoo him away. "Oh, I thought you were sleeping. Sorry," Uncle Branch murmured. "I don't sleep. Every time you think you're being sneaky, I'm just standing here, watching you. I just charge now," Evelyn sighed, rubbing her face. She sighed deeply and watched him leave. Once she got bored enough and charged up, Evelyn checked the pamphlet. Vertosian Therapy, a friend in fantasy for anyone's problems. Evelyn was halfway interested in it, but she didn't know how anyone would react to seeing her like this. She read a weird book that had a similar character, blind, mute, and no legs. Everyone who was missing a limb replaced it with a robotic one, so Evelyn was the robotic equivalent of that book character. Hopefully no one would treat her like she was disabled, because she definitely wasn't. Evelyn could still do most normal things. She could even express emotions. She still had a lot of face tissue, so it wasn't too bad. Evelyn never felt like smiling, though. What was there to smile for anyway? In the morning, she found Uncle Branch doing more research on Vertosian Therapy. "Morning," Evelyn mumbled, clanking over to the couch. Her hand accidentally ripped a hole in it, so she got up immediately and walked away. Evelyn's hand wasn't supposed to be able to do that. Stupid metal. Stupid robot crap. "I'm enrolling you. You'll be leaving in a day," Uncle Branch sighed. "What? Why? I thought you wanted me to choose," Evelyn yelped. "Well, you're clearly not doing well, and it would be good for you. And for a patient your age, they also put you in their school system," Uncle Branch explained desperately. Evelyn sighed and looked at her uncle from the side. "Fine. How long do I have to be there?" she mumbled. "Until you're feeling better, or until you want to. If you don't like it on the first day, I'll come get you," Uncle Branch said softly, smiling desperately at her. Evelyn clomped away to her room, sighing again and reading her favorite book to calm her down. Friends? Demons. Like the ones who attacked this city just a few years ago. That won't be scary. The day felt like an eternity. She couldn't just sit still during the night. Evelyn decided to read a book while she charged. It made time go by faster. When it was time to leave, Evelyn packed her favorite books and her charger, packed some clothes, changed her clothes, then waited for Uncle Branch to do all the activities Evelyn didn't need to do anymore. Shower, eat breakfast, take care of his hair, shave his beard, and brush his teeth. He wore something light, but Evelyn wore the thickest hoodie she had and thick pants. "Why are you wearing that? It's hot outside," Uncle Branch said with a laugh. "I'm cold. I can't sweat anyways. It's not like I have to worry about stinking," Evelyn pointed out bluntly. "Oh, right. I'm sorry you're upset," Branch said softly, grabbing the keys to his hovercraft. Not mad. I could be sad. It's hard to tell since I can't cry anymore. Evelyn sighed, walking to his hovercraft. A young girl was outside playing with her grandpa. He had one prosthetic arm. He wasn't staring. He only smiled and waved. The girl was staring at Evelyn. Out of curiosity, maybe concern or awe, Evelyn sighed and pulled her hoodie over her face, getting into the hovercraft quickly. Branch took her on a long drive to reach this place. And as the pamphlet said, they flew right into a fantasy. Centaurs and dragons, magic and strange plants. It was everything. Creatures from all sorts of different legends and tales. Evelyn pulled her hoodie tighter over her face and put her robotic arm in her pocket while the other hand held her backpack. They traveled to a big black building where statues of maybe magic deities lined the halls. They went to a large room where two satyrs greeted them. "You must be Dr. Hundu. We heard you had a niece coming here today. Come with us," the girl satyr said sweetly, shaking Branch's hand and beckoning to them. The other satyr smiled at Evelyn. "I'm assuming you're Eve? Remind me," he asked, offering his hand. Evelyn said, walking past him and keeping close to Branch's side. They went to a warm room with two other women inside of it. There was one window on each wall, and a desk in the middle, with the two empty chairs across from the women, and a painting of a night sky with 4 moons on it behind them. The satyrs left them with the women, who started talking to Branch about everything. They brought up a story of the explosion, which broke the women's hearts. One was a pink-haired elf, and the other had a literal wolf head. "Daffodil, Arcuda, this is Evelyn. Evelyn, this is Arcuda and Daffodil," Branch told her softly. "They are going to house you," he added. Evelyn instinctively took off her hood and offered her left hand to them, but it took Daffodil a split second to comprehend Evelyn's face. "You're just a little cutie sent from the moons! Oh, I am so excited," Arcuda said happily, willingly grabbing Evelyn's hand with a wolf paw. As soon as Evelyn couldn't see Branch's hovercraft, she put the hood back on and squeezed the handle of her backpack. "We should let you get settled in. Come on, follow us," Daffodil said warmly, waving a hand at Evelyn. They walked through the city, going to a quiet neighborhood. The buildings were all so short, and most of them were made out of wood. No hovercrafts were in the sky, not a single bit of technology. Maybe they replaced technology with magic? Daffodil and Arcuda took her to a cute cabin near the middle of the quiet neighborhood. They walked up the steps and waited for Evelyn to follow. The porch was solely made out of wood. Evelyn might break it. She needed to be careful. Evelyn went up the first step, and immediately it collapsed. There was a noise of reaction from both women, but Evelyn panicked and fell backwards. The clang of metal echoed through the quietness and rang through Evelyn's head. "Ow," she squeaked, pulling her legs out of the broken stairs. "Arcuda, what happened? I heard a crash!" A girl's voice asked from somewhere Evelyn couldn't see. "Yes, you might need to tell Gara that our friend here can't be in a cabin. Thank you, Cricket," Arcuda asked awkwardly. Then Daffodil came to help Evelyn up. "I'm okay, I'll get up. Don't try to carry me," Evelyn huffed, shooing her away and shuffling up to her feet. A joint in her right leg was broken. She'd have to fix it. Evelyn stomped her foot down hard and it clanked back into place. "Ow," she huffed lifelessly. "Do you think you're okay if we took you to a different home?" Daffodil asked. "Will the stairs eat me?" Evelyn asked. "No, I'd hope not," Daffodil laughed. They took her back through the neighborhood until they were right near the noisy city. This house was built with crystals and rock, barely any wood. The crystals were hard to see. It mostly just made up the windows and decorative things. A small girl with a puffy brown tail and purple hair was standing on the rocky porch. She was talking to what looked like a completely normal person. A woman with short brown hair, but a very crazy scar on her left leg. "Good morning, April. I hope we're not ruining anything," Daffodil said warmly. "What? No way! Me and Summer would love to have a kid from VT," the woman laughed. 2 more women. No man in the house, sadly. Or maybe not. Evelyn hoped a part of the therapy would be replacing her parents with 2 parent therapists, but Evelyn could never replace her parents. "Are they letting robots into this program? That's stupid," a boy scoffed, walking up to April. "Lapis, apologize right now. She's not a robot," April snapped, hitting him on the head. He was an elf too, with fuzzy blue hair. "Apologize to a robot? I'm literally just asking. They don't have feelings. Plus, they can't even show emotion," Lapis whined. "Evelyn is not a robot," Cricket argued. The words were jamming through Evelyn's head. It was almost funny. The more they argued, the funnier it got. Evelyn giggled a little. "Yeah, that's basically true. At this point, all I need is a battery and I go beep boop bop." "Yeah, it's stupid why they let me come here. So hilarious, actually," she chortled. "What?" Arcuda whimpered, trying to give a supportive look. "The blue dude is right. What's left of me anyway?" Evelyn scoffed, dropping the smile and making eye contact with Lapis. Well, don't think like that, Evelyn. There's plenty of you left. Come on, we'll take you to your room," Daffodil said softly, grabbing Evelyn by the hand. They went past Lapis and Cricket, then wound up going to the attic of sorts. There was a beautiful room, though. It was very nice. "Thanks, I guess I'll just..." "You don't have any outlets, do you?" Evelyn asked awkwardly. I think there should be some downstairs. Summer and April are old members of your city. I'm sure they can help with whatever you need," Daffodil said warmly. Evelyn sighed and walked into the room. She set her bag down and sat on the bed. "Great, so I might not need this room," Evelyn murmured to herself, looking around slowly. "All right, once you've settled in, Summer will take you to get signed up for school," Daffodil said sweetly. "Got it. School," Evelyn mumbled. She'd never gone to school. Her parents homeschooled her. They taught her the important things about life. Then she started working in their lab. Evelyn grabbed out her books and set them down on the table. Then she put her empty clothes in the closet. Evelyn sighed and grabbed her charger. It was so awkward for some reason. She didn't even want to ask. She also didn't want to die. Then there was a knock on the door. Before a tall woman opened it. She was big and red and spiky, with sharp horns and fangs. "Good morning. I thought I'd come and check on you before we left," she said sweetly. Do you have anywhere I could plug this in? In a private area," Evelyn stammered, sliding the charger into her view. Was this really Summer? A demon lady? "Oh, of course, we could hook that right up in here. What's it for, if I may?" Summer asked. It's my, bed, sorta," Evelyn murmured, avoiding eye contact. Oh, yes, we can have April take care of it while we go to your new school," Summer said happily, smiling at Evelyn with a mouth full of sharp teeth. They walked downstairs, where Lapis and a younger elf were being scolded. The younger boy had red hair. Why did elves have such bright hair? Evelyn followed Summer through the city, keeping her hands in her pockets. The school was huge, and the principal himself was waiting at the doors. He was a pale, white dog satyr thing with black eyes and a pleasant smile.
"There you are. I've been waiting for a while. Weren't you supposed to be with Daffodil and Orchida?"
the man asked warmly. Someone might have broken their porch, Summer whispered, making Evelyn feel uncomfortable. It was hard to tell if her hearing was amplified or they just didn't care if Evelyn heard them. They took a tour around the school. Then they wrote down some things about which classes she would take.
"Do you have any interests?"
Principal Grump asked. Evelyn thought for a moment. She would love to take technology science, but she already knew a lot for her age. Was there a magic class? No, she can't do magic. I don't know, I don't have any favorite activities, Evelyn murmured, thinking about all the fun activities she did with her parents. Well, that's not true. Your uncle said you loved fixing small gadgets, or anything technology science-y stuff, Summer said warmly. Maybe I just don't really like those things anymore, Evelyn stammered, rubbing her metal fingers inside her pockets. It felt so different to think about working with that stuff. She was made of that stuff now. There were some moments when she still needed to ask her parents for help with fixing things, or Uncle Branch.
"All right, why don't we put you in an extra science class and animal handling?" Principal Grump said, checking it off on his paper.
Animals? What kind? How big? Evelyn had so many questions, but she didn't want to open her mouth. They walked back home after a few more confusing conversations. Evelyn was ready to disappear into her room for the rest of the day, but April shooed her away because they were making a surprise for her. Evelyn sighed and went downstairs to sit in a cozy chair. Unfortunately, Lapis was sitting across from her. He was by the window, with a book in his hand. His greenish eyes never left the book to glare at her. Evelyn closed her eyes and sighed, picturing what a normal day with her parents would be like. Evelyn woke up, got breakfast with her parents, read a few pages in her book. Then they all left for the lab. Test, fail, over and over until they got it right. "Hey, Evelyn, your room is done," April said warmly. "Oh, thanks. I'll just be reading a book up there," Evelyn said, walking up to her room. Her charging port was hooked up near the bookshelf, and her bed was replaced with a hammock. The hammock was better. Evelyn pretended to be asleep in it, wishing she could really be asleep. She missed it somehow. Even though she still got tired and technically did sleep on the charger, it was still not the same. Evelyn had a book in her hand, but she was too busy picturing how her first day of school would go. When she opened her eyes, the sun was setting. Evelyn wished it was an actual nap, but it definitely wasn't. She was fully awake the whole time, not even close to tired. Evelyn put her book away and started getting into her pajamas. Shorts, t-shirt, done. Right before she stepped on her charger, the little red-haired boy burst into the room. "We're eating dinner now! You should join us!" he said sweetly. Then he ran back downstairs. Evelyn froze. She couldn't eat. It was electricity that kept her alive now. She sighed and closed the door, tearless crying again. Evelyn would miss tasting things. Even broccoli was something she wanted to taste again. After she cried, Evelyn stepped on her charger and flopped down hopelessly. It made her start crying again. She couldn't sleep, and she couldn't eat. How was this living? How was this better than dying with her parents? All because of her uncle's fear of being alone. She isn't even with him anymore. Evelyn was busy crying that she didn't even hear April come into the room. Are you okay? April asked, setting a plate of food on her table. No, Evelyn whimpered. Come here, it's okay, April whispered, reaching out a hand for Evelyn. Evelyn clicked off of her charger and flopped into April's arms. I can't do anything human anymore, Evelyn whimpered. What do you mean? April asked, taking them to the hammock. I can't eat or sleep. I can't even cry right because my eyes are fake, Evelyn whimpered, cuddling in April's lap. April ran a hand down Evelyn's head and made the noise of a calming waterfall. I miss my parents. I miss them so much, Evelyn whimpered. It's okay. It's going to be fine. I'm sure you'll make lots of friends and forget all about it, April whispered. But what if I don't make any? Evelyn squeaked. I think you've already made one. Cricket? She stood up to you, right? That's what friends do, April said softly, rubbing Evelyn's shoulder gently. Was that what friends did? Evelyn hadn't made any friends before. She tried, but she only talked science to them and it scared him off. Maybe Evelyn could try to not speak at all. Do you want me to let you rest? I'm going to stay for as long as you want, but if you want me to leave, you can say so, April said softly. I'll just fall asleep anyway. You can go, Evelyn sniffled, sitting up again. Okay, I'll let you be, April sighed, kissing Evelyn's head before walking out and taking the food with her. Evelyn got back on her charger and thought about what April said. She almost didn't notice the sun rising when it was. Evelyn got dressed, putting her hoodie back on and brushing her hair. She covered as much as she could, only because she was very cold. Stupid metal. Then Evelyn went downstairs where Summer was making breakfast. The smell of the food was amazing, but of course Evelyn couldn't have any. She sat down in the other room and waited for them to finish. Well, good morning, Evelyn. Are you ready to go? April asked happily. Evelyn nodded. Lapis will walk with you, okay? He goes there too, Summer said warmly, nudging Lapis out the door. They walked in pure silence together, except for the city noises and the clopping of Evelyn's metal feet. See you after school, Lapis mumbled, walking off to his first class. Which one was Evelyn's first class? Reading or animal handling? Principal Grump spotted her and beckoned her over. How are you feeling? He asked quietly. Cold? Evelyn shrugged. Grump laughed. Okay, well, just remember where to go, alright? If you need help, I'm sure the teachers will point you in the right direction. He chuckled, pointing to Evelyn's first class. Animal handling. Of course. She nodded at Principal Grump and walked to her class. Nobody was there except for two people. The teacher was a fiery fae with tons of feathers that made it look like she was made of pure autumn leaves. And a student was helping with the small critters. Cricket. Cricket glanced up at Evelyn, but had to do a double take before squealing and running over to hug her.
Evelyn! I didn't think I would have to be even more excited for this class, but now I totally do. You're here. Oh, what's your favorite animal?
Cricket cheered. I like cats, I guess. Evelyn shrugged.
Ooh, have you seen a chimera before? They're like a bunch of cats put together, but with wings and horns. It makes them cuter.
Cricket giggled. Evelyn followed Cricket to a small stable with sleeping beasts inside of it.
Moon, wake up, sleepyhead! Come say hello!
Cricket giggled, reaching out for the chimera. It stretched and yawned, purring a little and rubbing its head on Cricket's hand.
Hold out your hand,
Cricket said softly, nudging Evelyn. She hesitated, but reached for the chimera with her right arm. The beast sniffed it and formed a deep growl. tensing up as Evelyn got closer. It was very scary, and Evelyn did not want to get eaten. The teacher came over and swatted the beast on the nose. No, Moon. You can stop that right now. Be nice, she scolded. It's okay. I didn't really want to touch him anyway. I'll just take a seat, Evelyn said softly. But the teacher grabbed Evelyn's hand and rolled up Evelyn's sleeves. That's why. Chimeras are allergic to iron, the woman mused, tapping Evelyn's robotic forearm. Evelyn hated how it felt, to feel as if she had a thick layer of wood blocking her nerves. Evelyn pulled her hand back and pulled her sleeve back over it. That's fine, I won't touch it, she said, walking back to an empty seat. More students filed into the room, eyeing Evelyn skeptically. They were all very different, but none of them had robotic limbs. Cricket sat next to Evelyn, and she happily forced someone else to sit on Evelyn's other side. He had a tiger head, and his arms were thick with muscle.
Bamon, this is Evelyn. Evelyn, meet Bamon,
Cricket said enthusiastically, bouncing in her chair. Bamon grinned at Evelyn. Nice goggles, he said, offering his hand to her. Evelyn got confused. What goggles? She asked, forced to use her left hand to shake his hand. He looked down at the metal hand, then back at her face. Oh, those aren't, sorry, Bamon chuckled. Did he think she had goggles on? Class began, and it was all entirely new information for Evelyn. They were learning about chimeras. Then they let Moon out so everyone could pet him, except Evelyn. She stood in the corner and watched. Suddenly, Cricket popped up beside her.
I won't pet Moon either then. I already got to before class,
Cricket said warmly, smiling at Evelyn. You really don't have to miss out, Cricket, Evelyn said softly.
Oh, come on. Of course I do.
I'd feel absolutely horrible if I just left you in the corner.
Alone?
Cricket said worriedly. Evelyn sighed. Okay, I guess, she mumbled, watching the chimera. It got very cold in the corner. Evelyn shivered a little bit. Are you okay? Come over here. It's warmer over here, Cricket said happily, dragging Evelyn out into the sun. It warmed her up immediately. A real friend. Was this what it was like? There was a gong, then class started to empty out.
I'll see you at lunch, okay?
Cricket said happily, bouncing away with her tail wagging. Evelyn sighed and walked up to her reading class. It was quiet, and Evelyn didn't have to sit in the corner. Then she had math class. Easy. Then, lunch. Evelyn didn't go. She didn't want to sit and watch everyone else eat lunch happily while Evelyn got nothing. She waited by her next class instead, which was science class. The bell rang, and Evelyn waited for a second before entering. The black-haired elf woman was the teacher. She had all sorts of technology sprawled throughout the room, and when she saw Evelyn, she smiled with excitement. Welcome! You must be Evelyn. I was a big fan of your family's work. I'm Dr. Mist. Oh, is this your parents' latest invention? I thought they tried to make more than just arms. Yesterday, we were actually talking about their projects, the elf said happily. It was their last, and I don't know how much I like it, to be honest. It limits my ability to be human, Evelyn mumbled. Last? Why? Dr. Mist asked. They, died. There was an explosion. My uncle decided to use their latest prototype to fix me, because I survived the explosion, Evelyn said softly. If she kept her voice strong, nobody would know that she was crying. There were no tears to prove it anyway. She walked past the woman and sat down, staring down at her desk. The class filled up quickly, but it didn't start for a moment. Do you all remember the wonderful topic we studied yesterday? I want you all to get out your notes, Dr. Mist said, and with a voice of steel. Did everyone finish their projects? Dr. Mist asked.
Yes, Dr. Mist.
The class mumbled. All right, good. We have a new student with us, and we are very lucky to have her today. Evelyn, will you please come stand by me? Mist explained, gesturing to the chair by her side. It was very random, but Evelyn stood up and got up to the chair. Would you be willing to help us with our projects? Mist whispered to her. How? Evelyn whispered back. Just sit there and let us make comparisons? Mist shrugged. Oh no. She was a science project for them? Great. Evelyn sighed and took her hoodie off. She had a tank top underneath, but it was still enough to show the class her tangle of robotic parts. Some of the class members were impressed. Others were disgusted or confused. Evelyn kept her eyes on the ground. She did not want to see the disgust on their faces. Hopefully, though, Dr. Mist would see their faces and try to fix it. Evelyn recently got stuck in a bad lab incident, but her parents' technology were able to save her life. Isn't that wonderful? Now your assignment was to create a better version of this kind of technology. I'm guessing you all have your blueprints done? So we will be comparing the two together, with your robotic arms you've made to Evelyn's arm, Dr. Mist explained happily. Question, are her parents those scientists we watched a video about? A satyr boy asked. Yes, this is their daughter. Sadly, both Mrs. and Mr. Instelek died in the explosion, so we shouldn't try to push information out of Evelyn quite yet, Dr. Mist said. Some of the class gasped and murmured sadly. Now let's begin our presentations. Who would like to go first? Dr. Mist asked the class, standing up behind Evelyn's chair. Nobody raised their hand for a moment. Then an eager hand shot up. She looked like Cricket, but with feathery magenta wings and black eyes. Yes, Levity. Come up, Dr. Mist said smoothly, beckoning to the Fae girl. I'm Levity, Cricket's twin. She was wondering where you were during lunch, the girl whispered. Here, Evelyn responded bluntly. Levity presented her prototype to the class. Then they all observed how Evelyn's arm functioned compared to Levity's. Evelyn opened and closed her hand, then pumped her arm up and down. They were all focused on taking notes by now. No more disgust. It was starting to make her feel better, being the somewhat center of attention. And Levity seemed nice. Zinc, why don't you come up? Dr. Mist said sweetly, waving her hand. Zinc was a satyr, with dog legs and goat horns. He seemed really shy. So, my prosthetic arm is made of titanium, and the joints are made from this gear system. There's a special rod made of some chemicals that when in contact with this rod, it warms up, so the metal isn't so cold for the person that wears it. There's a system of wires that allows the user to connect this to their nervous system, and the wires are almost exactly shaped like real like the real. Zinc babbled on shyly about his creation. At the end of class, Evelyn grabbed her hoodie and put it back on to warm herself up. Evelyn was impressed with Zinc's idea of warming up the metal. She wished her uncle would have thought about that. Or her parents. Maybe this really was a prototype. Maybe they didn't think about it. Evelyn started walking out with the other students, but Levity pulled her aside. Why weren't you at lunch? Do you not like Cricket? She asked.
Oh, what? No, Cricket's fine. I just don't want to sit and watch everyone eat, okay? Evelyn stammered. What, so you mean you don't eat? Levity asked sympathetically. Evelyn sighed. I have to get to my next class, she said softly, putting her hands in her pockets and walking away. Evelyn was monitoring the library for next class, which seemed fun almost. They didn't allow her to wear her hoodie, though, so she tied that around her waist instead. The librarian was a weird spider centaur person. He loved quiet things and didn't even seem fazed about Evelyn's mechanical body. A class of younger kids came into the library for a lesson with the librarian. They were all very cute. Evelyn was sorting out new books as the class left. Then she was randomly hugged. She turned around to see the small red-haired elf boy hugging her.
Hey, Evelyn!
He cheered. Agate, get to class, the librarian chuckled, guiding the whole class out of the library. Evelyn smiled and patted Agate's head. Hey, little dude, she said warmly.
I'll see you at the house,
he said happily, bouncing away to his next class. Evelyn watched him leave with a rueful smile. She always wished she had a younger sibling. Evelyn shivered and continued sorting books. She decided to put her hair in a ponytail just to match her outfit better. Once the books were sorted, Evelyn started filling the shelves. It was a tall library. Another class of students her age came out to explore the library and find books. Evelyn immediately spotted Cricket and Levity come in. Then, unfortunately, Lapis was after them. He was best friends with the twins? Maybe Evelyn should give Lapis another chance. He didn't know any better, but he never apologized for anything. Evelyn could have a neutral relationship with him. Maybe. She had a box of comics at the moment, slipping them into a shelf in perfect order. Someone hit into the ladder Evelyn was using, and she slipped. Evelyn's left arm got stuck between the steps of the ladder, and her shoulder and elbow snapped out of place. Evelyn scrambled to get on the ladder again, but it was hurting, and she was panicking. In a second, Levity was there helping her. She flapped around Evelyn and carefully slid out Evelyn's arm. Evelyn was set down on the ground, where the librarian quietly and carefully took her to a private room. Levity and Cricket followed him anxiously, still trying to help Evelyn if they could. Evelyn looked at her arm carefully, whimpering in pain. One of you is going to get Dr. Mist. She can fix this, the librarian said with authority, so Cricket sprinted out to find her. Levity stayed with Evelyn. Hemlock didn't mean to make you fall. He was just trying to find a book before his bell rang, she said softly. Oh, yeah, I didn't see who it was. I wasn't going to get mad at him, Evelyn said quietly, trying to keep her arm still so it wouldn't spark or spasm out. Mist came into the room with Cricket. Oh dear, what happened? Dr. Mist asked worriedly. She fell off of a ladder and her arm got stuck in it, Levity said bluntly, making the air in the room sit awkwardly. Evelyn couldn't look at anyone in the eyes. In a quick few minutes, Evelyn's arm was back to normal. Thanks, I guess, Evelyn murmured. School is almost over. You should start getting ready to go home, the librarian said. Oh, right. Thank you, Dr. Mist said, gathering her tools.
I'll walk with you. Levity, are you flying home?
Cricket asked. I could stay with you. I don't mind, Levity said warmly. All right. Try to be careful next time. We'll make it a rule that nobody can run in the library, Dr. Mist said. Especially near the ladders, the librarian nodded. The twins walked with Evelyn for a while. Then Lapis ran up to them. Hey, I was supposed to walk with you, Lapis gasped, catching his breath.
Sorry? I thought you didn't want to. I thought you might bully Evelyn or something,
Cricket said snootily. Bully? Why? No! Lapis yelped.
I'm joking. I know you don't bully people.
Cricket laughed. Evelyn shivered and pulled her hoodie on. Are you okay? What's making you shake? Levity asked nervously. Nothing. I'm just cold, Evelyn said softly, continuing to walk. A giant demon wolf suddenly ran up to them and turned into a demonic lady right in front of Evelyn. She looked just like Cricket, probably their mother. Cricket! What are you doing out of school already? Did something happen? Did you cause trouble? The woman scolded.
No, surprisingly. Hemlock made Evelyn fall off the ladder in the library. Her arm broke.
Cricket shrugged casually. Cricket's mom turned to look at Evelyn with pitch-black eyes. Her arm doesn't look broken, she muttered. Dr. Mist fixed it, Levity said sweetly. School's almost over anyway. They let us go home so Evelyn could rest. Lapis nodded. How did you know we were out of school? He asked skeptically. My store is right across the street, Cricket's mom huffed. Evelyn turned to the side and spotted a magic items store near the school. Oh, right, makes sense, Lapis said awkwardly. Well, if it was just a broken arm, I'll let you take Evelyn home, but you'll have to come help with me in the shop until closing, Cricket's mom warned. Levity nodded obediently, but Cricket groaned. Cricket, her mother warned.
Fine. It's like you don't want me to be a good friend. Good life lessons I'm being taught. Oh, we should fire the librarian and Dr. Mist for authorization to let us take a VT person home, Cricket retorted, lashing her tail.
Evelyn watched Cricket's fur darkening and red cracks forming from the corners of her eyes. Was Cricket a demon too? Was Levity a demon? Evelyn thought they were both fays. Maybe their dad was a fae? Instead of Cricket's mom getting mad and shouting back, she just sighed and grinned. Fair enough. 1 hour of work, just because your dad wants to see you help, Cricket's mom said softly. Cricket grinned and her whole body relaxed. All right, just for Dad, she scoffed. Oh, I could help right now, actually. I don't think Evelyn needs a mob of people to take her home, Levity said warmly, smiling at her mom sweetly, as if she knew she was the favorite child. The two of them went away, then Evelyn started following Cricket and Lapis. So, did it hurt? Lapis asked Evelyn. What do you mean? Being stared at all day like I'm a real zombie, breaking a robotic arm, losing half my body and my family, being blown up? Oh, you mean when I broke Daffodil's porch and fell on my head? Evelyn asked grumpily. Or being called a robot with no feelings? She hissed. That hit him hard. She had him down. Meant when, you broke your arm, Lapis murmured. Did you really lose all your family? Cricket asked sympathetically. Evelyn nodded. Of course I still have my uncle, but it was his great idea to put me here. All this has done has made me hurt more, Evelyn sighed. I'm sorry. I can try to help it not hurt so much, Cricket said, grabbing Evelyn's metal hand. Evelyn looked at their hands, trying to actually feel her hand. What did you do with your uncle? Lapis asked softly. Nothing, Evelyn whispered, moving her eyes to the ground. Really? Nothing at all? Cricket asked, bumping her playfully. I, read books and tried getting used to being cold all the time, Evelyn stammered. Did you ever cry? Lapis asked quietly. I can't, Evelyn whispered, pulling her hand away from Cricket, and shoved both hands into her pockets. What do you mean? I thought you could feel emotions and stuff, Cricket said in shock. Well, if it wasn't obvious, my eyes are now cameras, and the last time I tried to cry, I figured out the cameras can't make tears, Evelyn retorted, keeping her eyes on the ground. Cricket jumped in front of Evelyn and grabbed her by the shoulders. Her eyes had a fierce look on them.
Evelyn, seriously, you're making me feel very bad. Stop it.
Cricket said sternly. Then Cricket squeezed her in a hug. I know, I'm just, now I'm getting jealous? I don't know, I feel really dead, Evelyn sighed, hugging Cricket back.
Why? Jealous of me? Because I can still cry? Is crying really that important to you?
Cricket laughed. Yeah, but also because you can still eat, and you can sleep, and you can feel things better than my artificial nervous system, and yeah, you don't get stared at all day with disgusted looks, Evelyn huffed.
Who is giving disgusted looks? I'll rip off their faces!
Cricket cried.
Don't do that!
Evelyn squeaked. I was probably, a part of that problem. I may have said some grumpy things at my friends, and they kind of tend to spread the wrong message. I'm sorry. I can try to fix it, Lapis stammered anxiously.
Lapis!
Cricket yelped. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, he whimpered. Evelyn was already grumpy at him. What more could he do? Kill her? Not likely. Whatever. I just want to get home today, please, Evelyn murmured, turning the corner and spotting the house not too far away. There was a huge bong of school gongs. Then Evelyn saw winged students flying home. Soon, more people would be rushing home. She put her hood over her head and dug her hands into her pockets again. Evelyn really hadn't had this much social interaction with people in years. Lapis was still behind her, but it seemed like Cricket turned back to go to her mother's store. Evelyn opened the door to the house. Hey, how was your first day, Evelyn? April asked happily. Perfect, Evelyn retorted, going immediately to her room. She flopped down on her hammock and buried herself in a blue blanket. April and Lapis started shouting downstairs. He must be in trouble. Or April was just worried. Outside, Evelyn heard two creatures fighting. She was curious about it and decided to open her window to check it out. There was a small black dragon thing and a skinny red creature tackling in their backyard. The red creature turned green and saw Evelyn, so it scurried up the wall at lightning speed. Before she reacted, the red thing bounced into her room. Evelyn yelped in surprise, but closed the window before the black creature came in too. She could take care of one small wild creature, right? It wasn't like this green-red thing was the most dangerous thing ever. Evelyn slowly turned around to look at her room, but the red thing was gone. That was worse. The door was closed, so it couldn't have gone out. Where? There wasn't a single hiding spot. Evelyn checked her closet, then her hammock. When she turned around to check her shelves, Evelyn saw the red creature sitting politely on the floor. It had skinny limbs and wide floppy ears with black eyes and a cute mouth. Its skin was purple now. Evelyn whimpered and backed up, trying not to break eye contact. What was it? Evelyn stared at it with terror, trying to come up with a way to get it out of her room. The creature suddenly warped and twisted until it looked exactly like Evelyn's dad, but with the same black eyes. It freaked her out and she bolted for the door. She almost slipped down the stairs and smashed into the door. There's a creepy shape-shifting monster thing trying to be my dad! Evelyn cried. What? April yelped, still in the middle of yelling with Lapis. There was a dragon and a red thing, and I thought they were fighting, but then the red thing turned green, and now it's in my room, got in from the window, and then it turned purple and stared at me before somehow turning into my dad with these big black eyes, Evelyn explained frantically, trembling a little. Evelyn immediately grabbed a sword from the wall and stomped upstairs. There was some shouting, then Evelyn heard Summer's voice. Then Lapis started yelling out there, followed by two Aprils arguing. That's definitely a shapeshifter, Lapis whispered in awe. April grumbled and came back down with a small satyr behind her.
She hooked her sword up to the wall and glared at Lapis. "What'd I do?" he squeaked. "Shouldn't I be to blame for bringing it in here?" Evelyn asked. "No, I'm mad at Lapis for giving you such a hard day, and I'm seriously not okay with a shapeshifter trying to gain my trust by turning into all of the people I care about most," April growled.
It usually works. I didn't know it would make things worse, and I definitely didn't know why that girl was scared of the man I turned into,
the small satyr protested. "It wasn't just a man. Don't turn into people without the full story. Evelyn is the wrong person to be messing with."
Especially Evelyn,
April snapped. "Do you know who this is?" Lapis asked.
No! This thing refuses to give me a name or a general gender because this thing turned into my wife right before turning into my son,
April spat.
"You never asked,"
the satyr grumbled, folding his arms.
"Just to make you feel worse, that man you turned into was Evelyn's newly deceased father, okay? Newly as in a week ago,"
April hissed, flicking his head. The satyr retreated in pain and pouted.
"I knew they had some family relationship. I just wanted to communicate without being an animal. It's hard to pick something, okay?"
he whimpered.
"Well, don't choose anyone from mine or Evelyn's head. It's incredibly creepy,"
April cried. The satyr nodded slightly. "Why was that dragon thing chasing you?" Evelyn asked randomly.
"Because I crushed its nest by accident,"
the satyr mumbled guiltily, fiddling his thumbs. "That makes sense, as long as it was an accident," Lapis shrugged.
"Ugh, can you get out? Just leave the city. Nobody wants a troublesome shapeshifter here," April barked. "Oh, wait, please let me stay. I could just be a mouse. Look, no trouble,"
he yelped, turning into a small rat and jumping around to make himself look cuter. Evelyn was starting to recognize the similarities. He was different, and he was desperate to fit in. No friends. Probably no family either. Just like Evelyn.
"Get out!"
April snapped, trying to kick the mouse. "I'll watch him. He can use my hammock for the nights, and he can eat my portion of food. It's not like I'll need those," Evelyn blurted quickly. April looked at her with shock. The mouse squeaked and scurried to Evelyn's feet. I'll make sure he stays out of trouble. Maybe I could even convince him to, take him back to my home, so he's gone forever," Evelyn stammered, glancing down at the mouse anxiously. Are you sure?" April said in shock. Not really. I don't want to feel how I did. Being turned away, or threatened, or hurt, because he's not what people want," Evelyn murmured. The mother side of April was giving in. "Okay. As long as he's with you," she said softly, looking at Evelyn with empathy. The mouse at her feet squeaked and jumped happily, looking up at Evelyn with a cute smile. I should, start on homework," Evelyn murmured, shuffling to the stairs behind April. April sighed and looked at the shapeshifter one more time before walking away. Evelyn carefully picked up the mouse and went upstairs. She placed the mouse in the hammock and went to get on her nighttime clothes. Her left shoulder really hurt from earlier. She took off her hoodie and rolled her shoulder, sucking in a breath. It started bleeding at some point and got her shirt bloody. Luckily, it stopped bleeding by now. Evelyn took her shirt off and looked at the damage better. Only some scratches, due to the broken metal. She spotted a glass of water on her table, probably left behind when April came to give her dinner last night. Evelyn tapped her fingers in the water and cleaned off the cut. Then she found another tank top to wear. This one was too tight, and her metallic spine ripped it. Evelyn groaned and yanked it off before grabbing another, her last shirt she brought from home. The last one her mother made for her. Evelyn knew it would fit. It smelled like her mother's grape perfume. Grapes. Mother didn't like them.
Evelyn put on the shirt and found a pair of shorts to wear with them. Evelyn rubbed her left shoulder one more time before grabbing a book and settling in her charging port. She completely forgot about the shapeshifter until Agate rushed in and set a small plate of food on her table. The mouse squeaked and turned into a small satyr kid, grabbing the food and sitting on the table to eat it. He had been so silent. Oh, crap. Evelyn changed her clothes in front of him. To be fair, she didn't have any more private parts to hide. Legally, Evelyn could walk around without anything. It was still embarrassing to let him watch her change. Well, maybe he didn't. There was a chance he could have turned around as soon as she started, and he noticed what she was doing. But she definitely didn't know him that well. You didn't watch me change, did you? Evelyn asked sheepishly, lowering her book. The small kid choked on his food and started coughing with wide eyes. That was probably an, "Oh crap, was I not supposed to?" kind of look. She still didn't know. So, I saw your back with all the metal and scars, and I sort of spaced out in a shocked with empathy sort of thing. I did watch, but I forgot about everything except for how destroyed your back looked. The kid stammered anxiously, tapping his fingers together in a frantic way. Evelyn wasn't sure where to go with that. She didn't know she had scars. Did the robotic limbs count as scars? Okay, because I forgot that you might have been watching, and you were, half watching. Just don't do that next time, Evelyn stammered. The kid took a deep breath of relief and nodded. What is your name? It's the smallest question I can think of, Evelyn asked. The kid gulped down some more food and scrunched his eyebrows. Bodo? He said anxiously. Evelyn smiled. That's a cute name. Could I ask how old you are? She asked sweetly. Bodo's eyes widened, and he set his empty plate on the table. I sort of stopped counting when I turned 3,000 years old, he said shyly, turning into a small gremlin creature and crawling back into the hammock. Evelyn blinked in surprise. You're not that old, right? I know that technology you're made of will keep you alive forever, but I don't think you have enough memories to be that old, Bodo stammered. Keep me, no, I'm 15, just 15, Evelyn said softly. Interesting. I was 17 when I got my immortality. I can't imagine being in a frozen body like that forever. 15. So much knowledge and experience, but they'll always treat you like an insignificant child, Bodo whispered, staring at nothing specifically. Evelyn looked at him with concern and confusion. That's not creepy at all. Can we not talk about that? Evelyn whimpered, looking back at her book anxiously. What would happen if she ran out of books? She spent a lot of time reading, which meant she finished them quickly. It was the only thing she could do at night. When do you sleep? Oh, wait. Oh, you don't. Sorry, Bodo said quickly. You don't actually do a lot. You should get some hobbies or something. Maybe a sport? He said, peeking up at her. Can you just go to sleep? I don't want to talk about it, okay? Evelyn said softly, folding her arm under her book. Sorry, I'm just trying to help, Bodo whispered, retreating into his hammock. Evelyn couldn't focus on her book, so she placed a bookmark in it and pretended to sleep again. She closed her eyes and pictured a happy life. She was watching movies with her parents, working in the lab with them, goofing around on Father's Day, or baking cookies on Mother's Day. In the morning, Evelyn got dressed and carefully put her hair in a braid. Then she grabbed some papers and books for studying. The school day was similar to the last.
But Bodo was there. He turned into a small bug and stayed on Evelyn's shoulder all day. She fed him crumbs of a cracker when lunch came. Then she started walking home with Lapis before she knew it. No broken arms, no falling, and no presentations of her body. "Hey, metal freak! What would happen if I got you wet?" a boy shouted from behind Evelyn. She turned around to see who it was, but she was sprayed with water instead. "Hey!" Lapis yelped, pushing Evelyn behind him. All of her technology was waterproof, so all it did was get Evelyn wet.
"What do you think a taser would do?"
Another boy cackled, circling around Evelyn and Lapis. The water came from an elf with spiky blue hair, and the other boy was a neon yellow fairy with sharp teeth. "Leave her alone!" Lapis snapped, making his hands catch fire with a blue flame.
"Ooh, a little orphaned kid forced to live with demons. I wonder what he'll do. Summon the Ever-King?"
The elf scoffed.
"I said leave!"
Lapis yelled. The Fey boy lunged at Lapis, but Evelyn put her arm in the way. There was a small bonk noise from his horns hitting her metal, but the kid only smiled and started feeding her electricity. Evelyn started twitching and tried pulling away, but the two boys were attacking them now. Bodo bounced off of Evelyn's shoulder and turned into a bulky demon. Pale skin with holes all over. Under the skin was weird black goop, a slender tail with a tuft of fur at the end, strange goat horns, and bulky arms with thick claws on each finger. Bodo roared in the elf's face and ripped the Fey boy off of Evelyn's arm. Evelyn couldn't see what was happening because her eyes were faltering. She tried to stop Bodo from hurting them, but her legs and arm were both doing something weird. Evelyn was completely spazzing out. "Hey, Evelyn! Evelyn, are you okay?" Lapis cried. But his voice was warped and too low. Her ears weren't even working. Someone else put their hands on Evelyn's face, then all of the electricity got sucked out of Evelyn, except for a bit of electricity to keep her alive. "We need to get her home," Lapis said anxiously. Then Bodo teleported them to Evelyn's room. He leaned Evelyn on her charging port, then turned into a small satyr. "Are you all right?" Bodo asked breathlessly. Evelyn tried to respond, but there was only radio static and a screeching speaker. "What's going on up there? Evelyn?" April shouted from downstairs. Lapis ran out of the room and quickly brought Evelyn into the room. "Wattage and Link attacked us. I tried to stop him, but Wattage started zapping Evelyn," Lapis cried. "I scared him off and got rid of all the electricity they gave her. Her systems are probably trying to fix themselves. And she lost some fluid, too. I'm not sure what the fluid was for, but it keeps something in her body alive. I could try to create the same mixture if you want," Bodo explained quickly. Evelyn's eyes were just still doing weird things, and her voice definitely wasn't working. April was frantic. "Should we get Dr. Mist or someone else?" Lapis asked. "What is her arm doing?" Bodo asked flatly. "Is that a gun?" Lapis yelped. I don't know. Just, Bodo, keep an eye on her. Lapis, come with me," April said quickly. Evelyn could almost hear her heart pounding, and the code in her mechanics was reorienting themselves. Evelyn suddenly blacked out, or seemingly disappeared. Her consciousness wasn't even there, but her body was still there, working with the code file it shouldn't have been. Her eyes lit up with a red light. Her body recovered and gained all the power it needed. Then, her left arm cranked up and fired a powerful force against Bodo. Her body sprang into action. She crashed out of a window and sprinted off into the streets. Missiles and bombs flew out of Evelyn's body in a violent symphony. Her left arm warped and folded into an electric, serrated blade. She was quick and nimble, like a fierce wildcat. Her targets were spotted down the street. Yellow fur and blue hair. The fire from the explosions began to spread, but she added to it with a flamethrower on her right arm. Once she cornered her targets, she began moving faster. She sliced her sword down the fairy's back, then threw the body at the elf, Hey, we're sorry. We were being dumb. Please. Hey, are you listening to me? The elf shouted. Evelyn replayed what he had said with her microphone, then replayed something else he had said to her. Metal freak, metal freak, metal freak. She replayed the words over and over in his own voice. Evelyn's body was like a whole other being, a creature of destruction, or maybe just a robot of destruction. She blasted a hole through the elf's chest, then started running around, causing chaos. Evelyn! A voice entered Evelyn's system. It sorted through files until it matched the frequency. Cricket, a fey demon girl. Evelyn's husk creaked over to stare at Cricket with glowing eyes. She unfolded her sword into an arm again, but kept a blaster ready at the end.
Stitch your alliance.
An uncanny voice came out of Evelyn. A voice a monster would have. What? Cricket squeaked, trembling before Evelyn's husk.
Quitonian, Verdian, Aspardian, Hunklian.
The husk listed.
Stitch your alliance.
It repeated, aiming the gun at her. Evelyn, stop! I don't know what you're talking about. I thought we were friends. What happened to you? Cricket whimpered, scooting away from Evelyn. Low nitrogen levels. The tank must have been broken. The spinal plate from Evelyn's husk opened up, and nitrogen gas fogged out, putting out the fire around Cricket. The husk turned and spotted the defeated target.
Threat neutralized. Activating E50 code file.
A speaker fuzzed on the side of the husk's neck. The code locked itself up again, and Evelyn's consciousness began to run again. But Evelyn still remembered being low on energy, being terrified, so she collapsed. We really don't know what happened. If we removed all of those weapons, it would kill her. We can try to delete the code, but that code is linked to her mortality, Dr. Mist whispered near Evelyn. Evelyn was laying on her chest, with her face smashed against the table she was on. She took a deep breath, but it accidentally triggered her voice box. The speaker screeched and fuzzed out. Then Evelyn opened her eyes. Why did she feel empty? Like her bones were gone, and so was her hair. The only thing she could move was her eyes. Ugh, what's happening? Is it turning on? Dr. Mist yelped. I don't know. We can't contact Dr. Hundo, and there's no other technician that knows this kind of thing, a different person argued, reaching into a hole in Evelyn's back and pulling something out. The heart started up on its own, like the whole system is actually alive. Check her brain activity, Dr. Mist said, appearing in Evelyn's sight for a second. She tried to breathe calmly and focus on other things. Evelyn already knew her body was probably packed with robotic parts, and this was just how things worked. They were doctors she could trust. Nothing bad would happen. They won't kill her. They probably won't hurt her either. Ugh, the system has no kill code. I can't put her unconscious again. She'll be awake by now. We should put her back together, the other doctor said, clicking something and reaching back into Evelyn's body. They must have removed her spine so they could get to all the important things. Wait, put back together? How many things did they take out? Here, this chip has blueprints, and we had Bromlad copy it on paper and a different chip, Dr. Mist said, shoveling Evelyn's right hand into her robotic forearm. Evelyn started to feel her hand again and instinctively moved it. Ack! Okay, we should be quicker about this, right? When do you think her hearing will turn on? The other doctor whimpered. Don't worry about it, June. Just pace yourself. You have everything you need right here, Dr. Mist said. Her muscles are tensing up. What if she starts feeling this? What if it's really hurting her already? June squeaked. June, stop. I'm watching her data right now. Her heart is beating at a healthy pace, and she's perfectly calm, Dr. Mist said softly. It wasn't completely true. Evelyn was still pretty freaked out, but she didn't want to worry June. Dr. Mist placed something on Evelyn's head and clacked it in place. Then Evelyn's red hair flopped out into her vision. Evelyn's body was slowly put back together. Then they put her left arm back in and sealed up her spinal plate. All of her systems are on except for her pain receivers. Her code must have detected the pain happening and turned them off, Dr. Mist mused, running a finger down Evelyn's back. Well, how do we turn them back on? June asked. They'll turn on eventually, Dr. Mist sighed, clicking the bottom of Evelyn's spine into place. The stiffness in Evelyn's body immediately dropped, like she was able to use all of her senses properly. She moved her head just to the side and looked around anxiously. That was weirdly mesmerizing, like you just cut puppet strings off of her, June murmured, standing near Evelyn's legs. She hadn't noticed Evelyn's head move yet, but Dr. Mist did. She gently put Evelyn's head back the way it was. Don't move quite yet, Evelyn. Your legs are still open, and you probably don't want to watch, Dr. Mist whispered, patting her back. Evelyn tried using her voice, but it only gave static. We've got everything fixed. No more extra electricity confusing your body, Dr. Mist said sweetly, keeping her hand on Evelyn. June continued to do things with Evelyn's legs, but after a few minutes, Evelyn was rolled to her back. All done. You did a good job staying still for us, Evelyn, Dr. Mist said warmly, smiling at her with a hint of caution. Evelyn took another breath and looked at the two doctors with a crazy amount of anxiety. It's okay, we'll get you some clothes and whatever else you need. Just take it slow, okay? Dr. Mist said, rubbing Evelyn's hand. June was a human, an actual human, the only ones besides April she'd ever seen in this city. June, could you please tell Bromlad to go get Evelyn some clothes? And go tell Summer that we've got her awake and working, Dr. Mist said calmly, hooking Evelyn up to a stretcher. We'll be in the room with poppies by the doors, she said, pushing Evelyn away. They got to the room, and Mist helped her get on the bed. What did you say about those weapons? Evelyn asked softly, looking at Mist with tired eyes. Dr. Mist looked at Evelyn in shock. What? She asked. You were talking about removing weapons? Evelyn whimpered. Dr. Mist hesitated and stayed quiet. An orc walked in and handed Dr. Mist a pair of warm clothes. Don't worry about that right now, Evelyn. Just get these clothes on, okay? Dr. Mist said softly, handing Evelyn the clothes and closing the curtains. It bothered Evelyn the whole time. She barely laid down again before Summer and Levity came into the room. Summer hugged Evelyn, and Levity gave her a flower. She had a lot of other flowers in her hand. What are those flowers for? Evelyn asked softly, knowing it was probably for someone Levity cared about more. They're, for, Cricket, Levity murmured. What happened to her? Evelyn asked worriedly. There was a robot that attacked the market. Cricket was about to be killed right before Gura saved her and got rid of the robot thing, Summer said softly. What? Can I check on her too? She's my friend, Evelyn said worriedly. No, Dr. Mist said a little too quickly. She's probably still recovering, and she probably doesn't want more robotic things shoved in her face. Maybe you could later, she said calmly. Evelyn did not like how that sounded. What about Lapis and April? Are they all okay? Evelyn stammered, looking at Summer worriedly. Now Summer was hesitating. They were trying to keep something from her. Evelyn knew it. Yes, they were far away from the market when it happened, Dr. Mist said softly. Why are you all lying? She needs to know the truth, Lapis shouted, bursting into the room. Lapis was wearing a tank top and torn pants.
He had a few burns on his shoulders and a chunk missing from a wrapped ear.
She almost killed me! And Bodo and Cricket! She burned down the whole entire center of Vertaz! You are not even Summer! Bodo, Summer is in the worst mental state. Worse than Cricket!
Lapis shouted, shoving Summer away from Evelyn. Summer effortlessly warped into an elf and stepped away. Evelyn looked at Lapis with dismay. Lapis, they already took care of it. It's just a bit of broken code in her system. You know Evelyn. She wouldn't just kill a bunch of people. Levity whimpered, pulling him away.
I did it?
Evelyn squeaked. No, you didn't. It was just a bug, Dr. Mist said softly.
That's what you meant? I'm just a walking weapon?
Evelyn whimpered. Evelyn, you're not a weapon. It wasn't Evelyn that did this. There's a code inside of you. It's pretty obvious who made the weapons, Bodo said, grabbing her shaking hands. You are Evelyn. Evelyn doesn't hurt people. She wants to make the world better, so nobody has to be sad. This monster that Dr. Hundu made wants the world to burn. It's only a bad coincidence that these two people share a body, Bodo explained softly.
Why would Uncle Branch do this?
Evelyn whimpered. Company wars, jealousy, tragic background, twisted mind, for fun. There are plenty of reasons, Lapis growled. But which side of this body sharing? Which side is in charge? Levity asked. Evelyn gained a whole new level of fear.
What?
She squeaked again. You're right. The other side is unpredictable. It could lash out at any given moment, Bodo said hopelessly, keeping Evelyn's hand in his. But I think I know what could stop that entirely. A crystal. My father has it, Bodo explained, glancing at Mist awkwardly. Where is he? Levity asked immediately. In Vertas? Not the city, the universe, Bodo said. What? Dr. Mist scoffed. You should see Vertas now. It looks just like as it was before the Everking, but my father made it his empire, Bodo explained softly. It'll be very hard to get the crystal, but I'd do anything to make Evelyn happy, Bodo whispered, smiling at her hands as they still rested in his larger hands. Evelyn wanted to smile at him, but she was too worried. What do I do when everyone leaves? What if other people try to... I'm scared I'll hurt people again, Evelyn whimpered, ruefully staring at Bodo's hands. We could let her stay with Amber and Echo, Lapis offered. They live closer to the beach, not in the city, he added, shrugging a bit. Yes, that's a good idea. You won't have to be alone. There'll be less for the other thing to destroy. And Echo is a very powerful dragon. She might be able to contain you if the other code tried to do something, Dr. Mist said. Then I'll take her before we start planning, Bodo said warmly. He turned into someone else and teleported them to a beach. Evelyn flopped in the sand, but Bodo quickly picked her up and took her to the house at the edge of the sand. Evelyn felt incredibly guilty about what happened and what Bodo was about to do. It turned out Amber was the animal handler from school, with her flaming wings and blue eyes. Evelyn? And, Gura? What's going on? Amber asked. Oh, I'm not Gura. I was, using his body. I'm Bodo. We're going to need you to watch Evelyn because of the incident that happened earlier. They wanted her far from the city, but I'm going to find a solution, so she'll only be here for a little bit, Bodo explained. He set Evelyn down and turned into a small fae. Oh? I guess I have an extra room. She won't be going to school, right? Amber asked. Well, until we figure things out, I think it would be better if we kept her here, Bodo said softly. So I'll just be alone all day? Evelyn asked worriedly, looking at Bodo with a sad expression. Amber sighed. What kind of incident are we talking about? I've been pretty busy and haven't gotten word of anything yet, she murmured. There's a virus of some sort in Evelyn. It's making her body destroy things. Her uncle is our main suspect. He probably was the one who put all of the code and stuffed Evelyn's body with weapons. The virus burned down the entire market, Bodo explained quickly. The more Bodo said about it, the more Evelyn dropped like a wilting flower. She's basically a ticking time bomb, but I think for now, as long as she feels safe, she'll stay calm, and she'll be Evelyn. So the isolation thing will probably work, Bodo said softly. That's horrible. I'm so sorry this is happening, Evelyn, Amber said quietly. Evelyn nodded. Come inside. I'll clean up a place for you. Come in, Amber said, spreading a wing around Evelyn's shoulder.
Oh, one more thing,
Bodo said, disappearing for a moment. He returned with a small cat plushie. This'll make you, sleep, Bodo said softly. Like your charger, but it'll make you dream, like you're asleep, he murmured, handing her the toy. Evelyn was going to take it, but she just needed to show him how she appreciated it. She really hoped it would work. Evelyn couldn't believe how kind Bodo was. She bounced into a hug, squeezing him carefully. Thank you, Bodo, Evelyn whimpered. Yeah, it's nothing, he whispered back, rubbing her shoulder gently. Bodo disappeared again, and Evelyn followed Ember into the house. He's sweet. A shapeshifter, right? No one likes shapeshifters. He probably works hard to gain people's trust, Amber sighed. Yeah, he does, Evelyn murmured. Cricket was terrified of Evelyn now. She always thought being a demon would make Cricket the one being risky. She thought maybe she would lose control. But Evelyn? Evelyn was absolutely terrifying. With red eyes that lit up the dark in an eerie way, and all those weapons spewing from her body. That was not human. Cricket was completely shook by all the damage Evelyn caused. But why? She was so shy and self-aware, so innocent and kind, and smart. Maybe it was an act. But what was the alliance question about? Like Evelyn didn't recognize Cricket, or wanted to know if Cricket was qualified to live or not. Evelyn did go around asking the whole market she burned. They kept Cricket in the hospital after Evelyn suddenly collapsed. Cricket only had a few burns and nightmares. Nightmare after nightmare. Cricket flinched when Levity opened the door. She looked a little hesitant, with a grin on her face. Hey, Cricket, Levity sighed, handing her a bundle of flowers. I just wanted to tell you that Evelyn's gone. Not, gone completely. Turns out her uncle had evil intentions after all, she said, sitting on the side of Cricket's bed. What? So, is Evelyn just a robot for him to control? Cricket whimpered. Almost. Half of Evelyn is real, and trust me, she's just as terrified as you. Maybe more, Levity said softly. Her rings melted a little. There's a shapeshifter that wants to help her. He knows a way to get rid of the evil stuff Evelyn's uncle put in her, so she's going to be living near the beach until the shapeshifter gets the crystal thing, Levity explained, looking at Cricket with a soft smile. Could that be true? Was that why Evelyn didn't know who Cricket was? Does the shapeshifter need help? Cricket blurted, almost before she even thought about it. She really wanted her friend back. Really bad. Evelyn was Cricket's favorite.
She might do anything at all to let Evelyn be happy. It sounded like it. Wait, are you going to help? Levity yelped.
Absolutely. Wouldn't you want to save Evelyn? I do. I'm totally ready. When do we go?
Cricket said quickly, staring at her sister intensely. A nurse walked in right as Cricket jumped out of bed.
Hey, Raspberry, nice seeing you. Goodbye,
Cricket said quickly, bouncing away with her tail starting to wag. Cricket, you can't just go out. This guy said they were going to a whole other universe. You can't just bounce away and go somewhere you can't even reach, Levity said, trailing behind her.
Of course I can. Oh, look, Summer,
Cricket cheered, spotting the tall red demon Cricket considered her aunt. She hugged Summer with her tail going crazy.
Are you coming with us? You should. We're going to find a crystal that can expel the evil demon stuff inside Evelyn. She'll be all better. We should go. Come on.
Cricket cheered. She jumped up and down and smiled at Summer. You're not going. There's no way, Lapis growled from behind Summer.
Says who? I'm saving my best friend,
Cricket cried. Oh, good. How many people are coming? I need helpful people. My father is very experienced sorcerer stuff, Bamon said, walking over to them.
What?
Cricket snorted. Then, Bamon suddenly melted into April and grabbed Summer's hands. Hey, you don't have to come, okay? No one is forcing you, April said. Then, April turned into Evelyn with a testing face. Summer's eyes widened and she stepped back. Okay, Evelyn huffed, turning into a satyr Cricket didn't know. Lapis, don't let your mom come. Mist, do you know who can come? I need more people, he said. Cricket was so baffled she hadn't even noticed the elf walking next to him. Oh, my Titan, your face is hilarious. You've never seen a shapeshifter, have you? The satyr laughed, waving at Cricket. Cricket shook her head with her tail wagging like crazy. After some more amazing moments, they made a plan and started heading to a castle made of crystals. Cricket was so excited that she had to go into her demon shape to get her energy out. She had a mouth like a demon, pitch black eyes, dark blood-red fur. Her front legs were like gorilla arms with huge claws, and her back was covered in spikes. Cricket's giggles warped into a demonic cackling and growling, and her mouth was frothing with acidity. Cricket only took this form one other time, and no one saw except for her mom. Not even Levity saw her like this. Now that they had, Levity and her dad were both staring at her in shock. Perfect. Cricket, take out the guards. Everyone, start fanning out behind Cricket slowly, please, Bodo whispered, turning into Summer. Cricket got very excited about the command. She stormed forward and snapped up each insectoid guard. They squished in her mouth and made a mess, but Cricket didn't eat them. They tasted bad anyway. The plan went well, but once they reached Kryptos himself, everything went downhill. Everyone was attacked and beaten, except for Cricket. Amber left to go to work, so Evelyn spent all day cleaning. Last night, she slept. It was so nice. It was the first night Evelyn ever enjoyed. She woke up with a smile, happier than ever. In the middle of doing dishes, there was a knock on the door. Evelyn didn't think much of it and skipped to the door. "Hello," she sang, opening the door. Two men with Kryptonian uniforms stood at the door with cannons in their hands. Evelyn immediately slammed the door and hid in the closet. What were they doing here? Did they know what she did? Were they going to return her to her Uncle Branch? Evelyn felt something inside her changing, and it wasn't a great feeling. Her left arm started shaking, and the metal plates started sliding around. No, 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 Evelyn whimpered, grabbing her arm to stop it. A red light started flickering in the closet. Her eyes. Lapis said her eyes were red when she was attacking. No, no, not now, please, Evelyn whimpered, closing her eyes tightly. The closet swung open and the soldiers yanked her out. Evelyn barely got to scream before she blacked out. She woke up in a different room, in a lab. Something felt wrong and different. Evelyn could feel all the weapons inside her, all the power in her. Her eyes scanned the room. Her cousin was there, behind a control panel. She was anxious and fearful, glancing at the only door in the room every other second. Izzy. She was Uncle Branch's daughter, the oldest one. Evelyn felt bigger and stronger, deadlier. "Okay, E50, please work, Izzy whispered, sprinting to a different panel and tapping around anxiously. Izzy was sweating and frantic. What was she doing? Who was she? Branch. She was scared of her own father. She must be doing something he wouldn't like.
Izzy?
Evelyn asked. But her voice sounded like an evil machine, not Evelyn. Izzy yelped and hid under the table. Crap, I'm dead. I didn't do it, Izzy whimpered.
What's wrong?
Evelyn asked, trying to get her voice in a more appropriate frequency. Izzy's head popped back up with a worried expression. You're asking me? Izzy stammered.
Are you scared of me?
Evelyn asked, reaching a hand toward Izzy. She was too far to actually reach in an innocent way. What was wrong with her arm? Evelyn's hands were tipped with claws. Her metal was tough and black, and she looked very sinister just by looking at her arm. E50, right? I just put your code into a new body, better body. The new one, Dr. Hundu made, Izzy stammered.
Branch.
Evelyn growled. Izzy ducked again. Yep, your superior designer and maker, and yeah, Izzy whimpered.
My superior crap! I'm going to kill that traitor! He ruined my life!
Evelyn growled, forgetting to keep her voice at a higher frequency. She sounded so evil with that voice. I don't think your code lets you, but that's what I'm, trying to let you do, but I need to get your label and your helmet on, Izzy stammered, whisking away to a different device to frantically press buttons. A small laser zapped at Evelyn's chest, placing E50 on a small rectangle. A sharp black metal plate was attached to her face next.
Do I need this helmet? It makes me look scarier.
Evelyn mumbled, tapping on the plate of metal. Evelyn used an extended scanner to see what she looked like on the outside. 12 feet tall, dark metals with eerie red marks like fire. Sharp arms, clompy legs with hoof-shaped feet, and eerie horns like knives on her head. She looked like a demonic medieval knight. Evelyn sighed.
Never mind. I don't think I'll look friendly anymore,
she said softly, changing the red light in her eyes to an innocent blue. Izzy was standing in front of Evelyn now, looking at her desperately. Why are you trying to be friendly? Your code was supposed to be destructive and monstrous, Izzy said wearily.
That's what Uncle Branch wants, but I never wanted to be evil. Why would you think I'd be... You don't know who I am, do you?
Evelyn said quietly. Izzy was looking at Evelyn with a sad expression, with tears running down her cheeks. Before they could say anything, Uncle Branch walked in.
Izzy, is it done yet? I want to be a ruler of Crypto City today, not whenever you feel like it,
Branch barked. You killed my cousin, Izzy whispered. What? Branch snapped. Who? Izzy asked sternly. Who what? Branch growled. Who did you kill? Izzy shouted, trembling a little. I've killed plenty of people, including my own sister, so you've better be more specific about who you're talking about, Branch spat, clenching his fists. Who did I just put in this robot? Izzy hissed, trying to keep her voice sturdy. No one! There shouldn't be anything in that robot besides a war beast! Branch shouted.
Too bad.
Evelyn growled, making her voice sound evil just to scare him.
No,
Branch hissed, stepping back.
Izzy, what have you done?
He said, trying to run away. Evelyn whacked her hand down and broke his leg. I did what you told me to. You said you wanted me to upload the code into this evil robot. I did, Izzy answered him.
What about the file labeled "Do Not Upload"?
Branch cried angrily, trying to crawl away.
I think I had a friend switch that name up,
Evelyn said, stomping out of her testing stand. She charged up her hand with electricity and gently grabbed his leg. Branch lashed around from the electrical charge. Then Evelyn punched down on his skull. It was like smacking a mosquito.
I think my therapy worked.
Evelyn growled, marveling over what she did. You're Evelyn, aren't you? Izzy whispered.
Yes.
Evelyn whispered back, turning back to face Izzy. I'm sorry I killed him. I know he was your father, Evelyn said softly, looking down at the blood and chunky flesh dripping from her fists. Evelyn, Izzy whimpered, starting to cry again. Shh, it's all right, Evelyn whispered, cleaning off her hands with a squirt of water. Evelyn controlled herself. She didn't need the crystal Bodo was trying to give her. I have to leave. There are some people that might, be in trouble. People I care for, Evelyn said softly. She released her medical drone from her chest, and the medical drone looked like a small, skinny Evelyn without flesh. It felt like sharing two bodies. She slowly pulled Izzy into a hug, patting her back and swaying left from right. Thank you for speaking with me, Evelyn whispered, returning the drone to her body. Wait, you're coming back, right? I don't want you to think you can't be here, Izzy said desperately. Maybe. I'll think about it, Evelyn said quietly. There was a moment of silence as Evelyn collected her energy, then fired a portal gun to take her to the Vertosian office. The leader, Gura, was standing there. He was alarmed about Evelyn's approach. Do you know where I can find Bodo? I'm trying to help him, Evelyn asked softly, finally fixing her voice properly. Gura was a bulky man with fiery red hair. His arm had glowing magic marks on them, and his face was chiseled like stone. Where did you, Gura grumbled. I'm a friend. I need to stop him from getting hurt, Evelyn said. May I please have your help finding him? She asked. I can send you to him, he mused, opening a portal with a twist of his hand. Thank you, Gura, Evelyn said, nodding at him before walking through. An army of demons was waiting for her on the other side. She folded her left arm into a sword and her right hand into a blaster. Then Evelyn plowed through the thousands of demons. She released a barrage of small explosives through the crowd, spotting Cricket's heat signature behind some crystal doors. Who was attacking her best friend?
Kryptos!
Evelyn roared in a booming voice of authority. She released a large explosion right near the doors, knocking the demons back and scaring them off. The doors were locked. Evelyn was not going to waste any time. She merged her arms together to make a sledgehammer, then blasted through the crystal doors. Evelyn quickly released her medical drone again, then fired 2 large blasts at the sorcerer. Through the drone's eyes, Evelyn saw all of her friends beaten up and wounded near the walls. Cricket was a gigantic, demonic werewolf, but she was hurt the most. She tried moving the drone quickly while still focusing on the battle. Somehow, it was incredibly easy to do so. Evelyn let out a deafening scream, then fired a few more blasts at the sorcerer. He was blocking it all. Evelyn separated into 3 smaller warriors, with her main droid wearing the knight's helmet. Finally, she at least looked like she had the right gender. The 2 drones mercilessly fought the sorcerer, while Evelyn turned back to block the doors from any oncoming demons. Once one of her drones got its head ripped off, Evelyn placed a few rows of landmines before calling back her drones and attacking Kryptos head-on.
You are weak!
Evelyn shouted, releasing all her weapons on the sorcerer to finally chop him into pieces. 2 more clones of the sorcerer appeared, but Evelyn easily blew them up. More and more kept coming, but Evelyn was tearing through them. She eventually led them away from her friends and outside the castle. The castle itself turned into a beast, but Evelyn found its weakness and blasted it down. Crap. She used too much energy. Now she was extremely low. Evelyn slowly unfolded a few solar panels, but they were all cracked except for one small one on her shoulder. She flopped against a tree and sighed. She saved them. Cricket would live, and her other friends were all fine. She saved them. Evelyn laughed to herself. She was so scared that she would be the one to kill them. But Izzy helped her. Maybe it wasn't the best way of getting it done, but Evelyn was free and alive. Once she died, she'd truly be free. But hopefully she'd get enough energy from the solar panel. She'd be fine. Evelyn focused on helping her friends. Once they all got back to their feet one way or another, Evelyn called back the drone. Her friends followed. E50? What does that mean? Where'd this thing come from? Levity asked softly.
It doesn't have any feasible memories for me to observe. I don't know,
Bodo said quietly.
Should we be this close? April asked skeptically. This thing saved us. We should be fine, Bodo huffed.
I did? I really saved you all? Evelyn asked, opening her eyes. It was wasting energy. She couldn't keep them open.
Evelyn?
Cricket said randomly.
Yes?
Evelyn whispered.
Yes, that's my name.
She sighed.
Holy moon babies! Evelyn, are you dying? Are you okay?
Levity cried.
What happened to you?
Lapis yelped.
Handu got to me, but I killed him. Then I had no reason for that crystal Bodo wanted me to have, so I saved you.
Evelyn said softly, trying to open her eyes again.
What's wrong now? I thought you were exploding things and being heroic.
Levity stammered.
I just use a lot of energy.
I'll charge up. See the solar panel?
I'm okay. Evelyn sighed.
And you're happy like this?
Bodo asked worriedly. Evelyn chuckled. I saved my family. What else
Could make me happier.
Evelyn said softly, feeling her energy get lower due to speaking. You're not getting up, are you? Cricket said hopelessly. Do you want me to? I can't tell if you're still scared of me. Evelyn whispered.
What? No, Evelyn. I'm not scared of you. You're just my best friend, Evelyn.
Cricket whimpered. It sounded like she was going to cry. Aww. Cricket, you're my favorite too. I'm glad I saved you. I'm glad I even met you. I'd be so much worse without you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Evelyn said thank you over and over until her battery died, softer and softer as the power drained. When her hearing came back on, she heard a woman reading a book out loud to someone.
Cricket, hey, we need to get some more supplies to make your house here. And the library is open now,
Lapis shouted at a distance.
Oh, right, I was just reading Evelyn a book.
Cricket laughed. She sounded so much older, so much sweeter and mature.
Evelyn hasn't moved or reacted to anything in 4 years, Lapis shouted.
Too bad. I know she needs the company. I'll read to her every day, and you know I'm serious,
Cricket said, shuffling around Evelyn to place the book somewhere. Evelyn turned off her hearing to save her enough energy to grab blindly at Cricket's ankle. When she released her hand and turned her hearing back on, Cricket was screaming unintelligible words.
Evelyn? Evelyn, can you hear me? Did you get your power back?
Cricket cheered, tapping Evelyn's shoulder frantically. Cricket, I hear. Evelyn's voice was weak still, but she tried. Here, she said again, trying to open her eyes.
Yes! Lapis! Ava, come here! Ava, look!
Cricket screamed.
Ugh, what is your deal with that robot thing? I literally hate it. You always say I'm just like Evelyn, but this thing is terrifying, so you're saying I'm terrifying, a new voice muttered.
Oh, moons, Ava! Evelyn was never scary, and you need to meet her, now! She had a similar arm, by the way. It was her left arm, though, and her legs were robotic, too, but I swear you two were twins! Cricket said happily. Ava... hate? Ava... is dummy, Evelyn said bluntly.
How? What? Cricket!
Ava yelped.
See? Evelyn is a real person, and you just hurt her feelings,
Cricket scolded. Evelyn finally got enough energy to open her eyes. A pale blue light sputtered on, then Evelyn got to see. Cricket, Ava, a new village being built all around Evelyn, and all of her friends. They were making Evelyn the centerpiece of their village. Cricket cut her hair, and her tail was longer. She was taller and had bigger muscles. Ava literally did look like Evelyn, but her right arm was robotic, and she had a sassy tilt to her eyes. Its eyes opened. Great, I'm being glared at by a freaky, haunted robot thing, Ava muttered, walking away. Cricket whipped around and smiled at Evelyn wildly.
Hey! You can see me, right?
She said happily. Pretty, Evelyn answered, studying Cricket's sparkly black eyes.
Aw, Evelyn,
Cricket giggled, sitting down in front of Evelyn. Lapis and Levity ran over next. Levity's wings had gotten a lot bigger, and she had small horns, too. Lapis had his head shaved completely, so there was only a small blue fuzz. He also had a nose piercing.
family still with me.
Evelyn said happily. We never left. Levity shrugged happily. Cricket literally never leaves. I swear she's going to live and die by your side. Lapis chuckled, smiling enthusiastically.
Where's Bodo?
Evelyn asked, looking around the scenery. He disappeared. I'm not sure where he went, Cricket said softly. He said he would be back once we all died. Which was creepy, but at least it means you won't be alone, Lapis explained. Evelyn's sight suddenly shut off. Then her hearing.
Oh no, hello?
Running out of energy. I'm so sorry.
Hello?
Evelyn whimpered, or at least she hoped she said that. Her eyes opened up again, but it was dark, and Cricket was crying. She was cuddled between Evelyn's arm and body. Evelyn desperately tried to move, but her whole arm wouldn't budge. It was raining, but the tree was thick enough to keep Cricket dry. Thankfully, she looked the same.
Please don't cry. What's wrong?
Evelyn asked softly, looking down at Cricket. Oh, Evelyn, I'm so sorry. I can't believe you're still even alive. I'd want you to die rather than deal with this. I want to try so hard to give you energy. I don't know how. Cricket cried, hugging Evelyn's arm.
Shh, it's all right. It's not your fault. Not your fault.
Evelyn whispered, looking at Cricket hopelessly. Evelyn woke up every now and again throughout the day. Cricket would be there, reading a book. Or Evelyn would be completely alone. Evelyn cried a few times, crying for help or calling for Cricket. Her eyes almost never came on, so it was hard to tell whether a lot of time had passed or not. No one complained when Evelyn woke them up in the middle of the night, and it was the most beautiful thing once Cricket had a baby. Evelyn got to experience their life too. She loved when the kids would read her a book or plant flowers somewhere near her. Everyone treated her with respect. Evelyn, Cricket died. I'm sorry, Levity whispered at some point. Evelyn cried for hours. No one talked to her this time. Levity only sat there and cried too. You're growing mushrooms. And rust, Ava muttered at some point. She didn't sound any different from the last time Evelyn met her. The curse of robotic limbs.
You're sad.
Evelyn responded.
Oh, gods! I didn't think... Oh, you haven't been active in weeks. I thought you finally died.
Ava cried.
No, I'm sad too.
Ava said, or at least she tried. She started to cry. Evelyn couldn't see or move, and now she was rusting up and growing plants? Ava comforted her as she cried. She sniffed a little, then her voice cut off before she started crying again.
What is that? Who is crying?
Someone cried.
It's coming from the freaky statue. Grandma said there was a girl trapped inside. Maybe she's the one crying?
Another person shouted. Evelyn ignored them and continued crying.
I can't see. Please, I don't want to be alone anymore. It's dark. It's too dark.
Evelyn cried, wailing for hours before someone came to hush her calmly. It's okay, little ghost. You're not alone. It's okay. Don't hurt me, someone said anxiously. What if you opened the metal? Do you think it would set the girl free? Someone whispered. Not now, Lynn. Go back inside. the first voice whispered, making Evelyn feel very sad.
Lynn is a pretty name. Who are you related to? Levity?
Evelyn sniffled. Oh, my great-great-grandfather was Lapis, an elf artificer. Was that from your years? The voice asked.
Oh, yeah. Lapis was a great friend. He would read me stories if Cricket wasn't there. They never left me alone.
Evelyn whimpered. Her voice cut out and she started crying again. She missed her family. She missed being alive. The more Evelyn cried, the more other people got scared. Eventually, it got very quiet. Evelyn would sometimes stop crying to listen to the rain or animals scurrying around.
Hello? Is anyone there?
Evelyn whimpered sometimes, crying a bit too. Empty, alone, like she wasn't even living. Evelyn didn't know how much time had passed, and she thought she might have been punished for killing those innocent people. I did nothing wrong! Please, anyone, I just want to die now. I just want my family back. Please, anyone. Evelyn cried, wrapping herself in a depressed cycle. She cried, she called for help, then she listened to the rain and ambience. Evelyn wished she could at least see something. She missed the sun. She missed dirt and grass. She missed colors. In the middle of Evelyn's wailing, she finally heard something new, like footsteps. Hello? Is anyone there? Please, I can't see. I can't bear to be alone. Please, just say something. Hello? Evelyn cried, listening carefully. Breathing. There was a person. It had to be. Where are you? A small voice whispered. I'm not sure. I can't see anything. I've been alone for way too long. Do you think you could stay? Just speak? Evelyn squeaked. What are you? Why can't you see? The voice mused, sounding closer to Evelyn's left. I'm nothing. Trapped in a metal cage, alone, in the dark. Evelyn started crying again. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there, something I could do? The voice asked. What? Evelyn whimpered. Can I help you? Like, free you or something? The voice asked awkwardly. Evelyn was really happy. You'd do that? She asked. Ah! Gods and Titans! Shh! They're going to see me! The voice squeaked. Suddenly, someone crouched down on Evelyn's left. The small kid was hiding behind her? 2 other people were approaching from Evelyn's right. Evelyn wanted to help get rid of them. She really wanted to help again? What if something worse happened to her? No, there wasn't anything worse than this. She felt a tear hit her metal, then she completely powered on. Evelyn growled as she stood up and opened her eyes. One eye had a mushroom growing from it, so she only had one to use. It looked like Crypto City had disappeared into a jungle. 2 large orcs were standing there looking for the child.
You will die now.
Evelyn growled, stomping forward and trying to get her sword out. The sword was more like a club, because there was moss and dirt and all sorts of things in the way. Her joints were rusty and hard to move, and she couldn't move as fast as she used to. Evelyn roared at the orcs. And they finally ran off. She tried to get her arm back into shape, but she had to remove a bunch of dirt and plants first.
Are you okay?
Evelyn asked, turning around to look at the child. It was a small albino wolf satyr, easy to classify without a scanner. "Why are you helping me?" the child whimpered, backing away. "Because you were speaking to me."
You were the first one to speak to me in years.
This energy I used came from you? Evelyn asked. I don't know. Teshaks usually have healing abilities. Most people think body parts of my kind will heal them, but that's not true, the kid whimpered. "Your tears, they hit me," Evelyn said, pointing to the girl's face. That didn't seem like new news for the girl. Evelyn sat up against the tree again. The tree was enormously tall now. "You're the crying girl, aren't you?" the girl asked softly, looking at Evelyn with a sad expression. She almost forgot that her voice sounded like some sort of evil Viking chief.
Yes, I was a girl once. Who knows how many years
I've sat here and rested alone after I saved everyone.
just like you.
It was worth it, and it was worth it now. Evelyn sighed, carefully patting the girl on the head. "I don't know how you could help me. There isn't much to be done here. My soul is trapped in this cursed chunk of metal." Evelyn sighed again, feeling the energy leaving her again. I don't want to go again. Please help me. I don't want the cycle to continue again," Evelyn whimpered, getting fainter and fainter. "I promise I'll fix this. I'll get help," the girl cried. Then Evelyn shut off again. One of Evelyn's backup cameras turned on, letting her see a few things. The girl had made a house useful again, but once Evelyn saw the girl, she realized how much time passed. The girl was already a teenager. She was hiding from hunters searching for Teshaks. Evelyn started crying again. She failed to save the girl from anything. She was still alone, scared, hiding. Evelyn did nothing for her. "Okay, Evelyn, I found some parts for a speaker. You'll be able to speak again. Please work, please," the girl whispered, digging around in Evelyn's husk. "Oh, there's some oil for your joints and a new solar panel. I had no idea what these even were until I opened a random box. I thought it was empty, but I found this," the girl said happily, spending hours at a time repairing Evelyn's parts. "Look what I found! Batteries! These might work. Hold on," the girl said warmly, yanking at a few things and fixing up more parts. "You don't have to fix me. It won't do anything." "Hey, you're speaking again!" the girl said excitedly, smiling the way Cricket used to. Now that Evelyn thought about it, this girl was a lot like Cricket. Evelyn started crying again. The Teshak girl was sleeping when Evelyn started, but instead of the girl coming to help, different people started appearing. Why, is there a girl here?" someone asked worriedly. "I don't sense any Oh my, is that Vex?" someone else whispered. Evelyn sniffled and whimpered, opening her eyes to see two figures sneaking around the Teshak girl's house. One was a fox minotaur, and the other looked like Summer. "Hey, Evelyn, come check this out. This is the girl version of Vex or something," Summer whispered, sneaking over to the door. "Would they hurt the girl?" Who's there? Please, tell me. Tell me if someone's there. I'm so lonely," Evelyn whimpered. "I'm not picking up any heat signatures except for that satyr girl. Whoever they are that's here, they're not warm," someone else whispered. They sounded like Evelyn, but looked like Ava. I see something. I see the girl. She's with someone. Summer mused, looking at Evelyn as if she clearly saw who she was. The Minotaur was whacked down by a wrench, and when she fell, the Teshat girl was standing there. "Stay away! Get out of here!" the girl yelped, holding the wrench like a baseball bat. "Whoa! Calm down. Minotauro, are you okay?" Summer asked, helping the Minotaur get out of the way. "Calm down! I'm freaking out! You guys are watching me sleep! Don't tell me you're Teshak hunters, because I have a battle robot that'll rip you apart if you try to hurt me," the Teshak girl snapped, pointing her wrench at them. "Is that your war robot? The rust and moss over there? Because I'm not threatened," the other Evelyn said, looking at Evelyn skeptically. "And are you aware of the ghosts haunting this place?" she added. "There's only one, and we don't need you here." "Goodbye, Teshak hunters. I'm not going to let you rip me up," the Teshak girl barked. "Rip you up? Hold on, what even is a Teshak? We're not hunters. Look, I'll show you," Summer said, quickly grabbing the mushroom from Evelyn's eye. It somehow turned into Bodo, right there. What did you... You took me away from Evelyn! How dare you!" Bodo snapped. "Who?" everyone cried. "Wrong spirit!" Summer yelped. Evelyn was suddenly sick and numb. She grabbed her head and blinked for a moment. "Gosh, what happened?" Evelyn asked, looking around. She was standing right there. Warm. No metal, flesh, blood, and freedom. Evelyn looked at her hands, then turned to Summer. "You freed me," Evelyn whispered. I did," Summer said warmly. "You freed her?" the Teshak girl asked. "You looked like that? Man, your uncle tortured you," Bodo said softly, looking at Evelyn with empathy and mourning. I don't know what to say. I've been trapped for decades. Just like that? I'm free? For real?" Summer whimpered, starting to cry. Tears! Real tears! She missed tears. Evelyn hugged Summer and cried. Cried and cried, saying thank you between her sobs. Thank you. Thank you. I don't want to go with you guys on any missions anymore. It's making me feel bad. Like my life is the easiest out of all the different stories, the other girl said softly. Yeah? Maybe. We won't take you next time, Mitaro murmured. I saved something for you, Evelyn, Bodo said softly. You couldn't have it before because it didn't fit, but... He slowly pulled something out of his bag. Mother's sweater. The one she made just for Evelyn. The last thing her mother ever gave her. Evelyn hugged him next, wailing away. Bodo held her just like her father did. It made Evelyn warmer. Warm tears and freedom. Wait, so are you leaving? Am I going to be alone again? Hiding all by myself? The Teshak girl whimpered, stepping back anxiously. The words echoed what Evelyn had said many times over. Can you help her too? Like me? Evelyn asked softly, looking up at Summer with all the hope and faith in the world. Summer smiled at her, like Evelyn was her own daughter. Of course we'll help her, she said, kissing Evelyn's forehead. What's your name? Mitaro asked, rubbing the back of her head. Lapis, the Teshak girl answered. Lapis. That was my brother's name, Evelyn said softly, smiling at Lapis happily. Come on, Lapis, let's go find you a home, the other Evelyn said, grinning a little. They disappeared into the air, leaving Evelyn with Bodo. Take me home, Evelyn whispered. Of course, Evelyn, Bodo whispered, picking her up in his welcoming arms. They walked through the city for the first time ever. He took her to a cluster of worn-out headstones. "They've been here waiting for you, Evelyn," Bodo said quietly. He used his magic to restore all of their names on their tombstones. It started to rain, like a glow of fire lighting in a furnace. "Promise me you'll take care of us?" Evelyn asked. "Of course. I wouldn't leave you alone. Not ever," Bodo breathed out, staring at her ruefully. Evelyn sat down in the middle of her family. "Thank you for being there," she said quietly. Evelyn smiled and closed her eyes, tilting her head to the sky to let the slow drops of rain fall down on her. "I'm glad I saved you. I would go through that over and over again to let you all live. 1,000 times, over and over, if it ended just like this," Evelyn whispered. Then her body slipped away slowly, replaced with a tombstone.